Thank you, Donna. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ian. I'm also a pastor here. I'm an acting pastor, which doesn't mean I'm a pretend pastor. It just means I'm helping Hope out for a little while, and it's a great church, and it's good that you're here. There are many people here who are members of Hope, others who might have been brought along or dragged along on a wet Sunday. It's great to have you here too. Maybe there are people here who are still thinking about this thing called faith or Jesus. Maybe you thought it was strange, even that kids' song we sang about the super saviour and smashing sin. I was just about to wait for Jimmy Deploy or Simon to get their guitar and smash it just to add to the effect, but they didn't do it. Oh, gee. Now, this morning, certainly it is my hope to try to help you understand who we are as Christians and why we believe in Jesus. It's so important. So to help me, I want to help you. That's one of my goals. And so what I'd like you to do right up front, because we'll come to this at the end of the message, is you have this newsletter. Most of you have this newsletter. Turn to the inside. You'll notice there's a Bible reading there and a summary at the bottom. But there's also, as Cam mentioned, on the right-hand side, there's actually a little slip. We're going to get you to fill this in later on. I'd like everyone to fill it in. So I'm going to do two things right now. One, I'm going to ask you to put your name down there on this piece of paper, name at the top. So instead of you looking at me, just put your name there and your phone number or email address. If you do that right now, that will help us towards the end, and it'll help you think through what I'm saying and why I'm saying it and why it's important that you have a chance to respond. And so just put your name there, phone number or email address. That'll help towards the end. That's very good of you. Thank you so much. You are very kind. I appreciate that. As you're doing that, I'm going to pray to ask for God's assistance. Heavenly Father, we have sung this morning about being led to the cross. May it be that as I speak your words that you've given me. Help us understand your words in Ecclesiastes. And Lord, may we all have a greater awareness of who we are and this life we live as we seek to all live well. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Mastering the art of living. That's Cam touched on at the beginning. This is our last one in this series. What does mastering the art of living really look like? What does a life well lived even look like? Some of you no doubt have your own views about that. Is it about how much money you have? Is it about how good you look? Is it about having a lot of power? Is it about the position you have in your life and where you work? Is it having a lot of friends? Or a lot of likes on Facebook? I know some people post things and they determine their self-worth based on how many likes they get in an image. Terrible, but it's true. Is it more of a feeling or a state of mind, a state of well-being? Even George Harrison, I know you all know him, in his first album after the Beatles, wrote a song, What is Life? He even raised that question. So it's not as if somehow, 50 years later we're wrestling with something that others haven't wrestled with. We're always wrestling with this question about what is life? How do I master it? How do I live well? If you ask Google that question, which I did, of course, because I know all the answers of life are in Google or Siri, whatever you want to do. And the first 10 words popped up with these. A well-lived life means to have taken every chance you could have, to have regret from doing as opposed to regret from not doing. A life well lived, to me, means that you did what you wanted to do, no matter what others said. You lived the life you wanted to live, and you're happy in all aspects of your life. Now, I want to say right up front, it's not bad. And in some sense, no matter what you search online, there'll probably be things that you read, you think, it's pretty good. There's stuff there that helps me and stuff like that. However, as I think broadly of living well, I think it actually might fall short. I don't think it gives us the full counsel that we're thinking about. Now, a long time ago, there was a painter called Frederick McCubbin. This is one of his more famous paintings. I've always liked it because for me, as I see those three images, it really does capture the beginning, the middle, and yes, the end. Now, I want you to hang with me throughout the message this morning because I am going to talk about the end, which means death, because if you're going to live well, you have to have a perspective about the life you live and the direction you're going in fact, the direction we're all going in. This was painted in 1904, and each panel represents a progress of life. The first panel shows the pioneering couple in their new bush environment. He's boiling the billy. The second one, contemplating life, little baby there. And of course, the third one, as he discovers a cross, death. And in the background is a city being built. Progress is ongoing. but it does capture a sense of life as well. Now, I don't have time this morning to reflect on all the musical aspects of this thing called living well. I haven't got time to quote Pat Benatar's Love is a Battlefield, even though it's more of an angst there about youth as well. I don't have time to sing to you this morning, which we're very pleased about, Adele's song about youth. There's lots of songs about being young and what it looks like of every generation. But there is a sense that when you're young, and we're all young, aren't we? Because I could say, 60 is the new 40, 80 is the new 20, who knows what we say in our culture today. Even though my body doesn't feel like it's only 30, let me tell you. But when you're young, you have a sense you're invincible. And some of you today probably feel like I could do anything. I'm invincible. And I had that sense too when I was about 10. A friend of mine and I climbed up on top of a garage roof, and we were convinced that indeed if we both took umbrellas up and jumped off the garage, that only one thing would happen and you would gently float down to the ground. Clearly, what could go wrong with such a scenario? And as we both got close to the edge and were wondering about, well, who's going to go first, all of a sudden I felt a nudge. And I thought, I'm just about to test this theory. Bang, straight down, and I hit what was then, of course, known as a 44-gallon drum. Because back in the day, you actually burnt things because you're learning to be pyromaniacs. And I broke my wrist, and I did not float gently down to the ground. I've got no idea what movie I must have been watching where you get that idea from. But you do have a sense about you're invincible when you're young. Eat anything you like, try anything, do anything. As you grow, you start to wonder probably about your parents' parenting style when you meet other parents and think, well, how come we can't do that? Everyone's doing it based on that theory of life. Everyone has an iPhone. Everyone has the latest iPhone. How come I only have an iPhone 10? It's so embarrassing. Go to school and show to my friends, you've got no idea how difficult that is for me. And all those things that we see in life. And of course, pain is part of life. One preacher describes the aging process like going to a chemist. When you're young, of course, you go to the front aisle and all you see is lollies and jelly beans and toys. As you get older, teenage years, acne and things like that start to happen, so you start to go in different aisles. And of course, there's more aisles when you go to Priceline that people go down that you never go down. And all of a sudden, as you age, you start to discover these new aisles with all sorts of pills. And you find yourself spending even more time talking to the chemist about the sort of medication you're on. And it's interesting, as you age, those things happen. Everything maybe seems flexible, do what you like. And maybe we more and more live on the basis of the here and now. So what does this living well look like? I've got that photo actually in particular for Cameron, who doesn't drink coffee. We all know that living well means you drink coffee, Cameron, wherever you are. Life is a gift, and we are called to be bold, and the writer of Ecclesiastes has gone through 12 chapters to encourage us to think like that. Now, I'm right at the end of that, the end of his book, and we'll get to that in a moment. If life is a gift and we're called to be bold, then how do you do it? What do we do with it? Because for many people, it's like, well, as long as it feels good, do it, is the theory. Maybe do I quote, dare I say, Bobby McFerrin, don't worry, be happy. There's another sort of theory about that. Of course, the older ones here, of course, know Monty Python's theory of life. Always look on the right side. You even know it without me having to say it. Isn't it amazing? We truly are weird, us Christians, aren't we? Yes. I'll nod on behalf of all of you for those who are not yet following Jesus. But there's things we listen to. But if we keep sort of that belief about life, we think things are easy and we may not deal with the reality of the whole of life that we're called to live. And as we get older, the trials and challenges of this life start to increase, as simple as that. You may have seen that in your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents. You may have had the chance to watch them age. Our childlike view of living well has to change, it seems to me. And in fact, if you wrote down Ecclesiastes 10:15, it actually says, the toil of fools wearies them. They do not know the way to town. The point is that if we go about rushing about doing stuff, we will get wearied and tired. And I'm guessing on the 22nd of January, if I really asked you one-on-one, many of you'd say, I'm already tired now. And the year's just started. When's the break coming? 2025? I don't know. Many of you have been involved in Summerfest, and it's like, Can the kids go back to school now? Can we finish up, just send them there? Can they go to boarding school for about a month? That'd be helpful. Don't respond. Don't put your names down for that just yet. And we get tired from that. A female writer called Beth Teachel wrote this book, Drinking Problems at the Fountain of Youth. She says this, that most women, now this is not me saying, work and work and work, and eventually they get wrinkles. What did all that work do? Nothing. Now they have to get rid of the wrinkles. Why? Because in every season of life, they thought they had more and more to do in order to get the good life. And we in our Western society, I think, often have the view that we have to do more and more to get this thing called good life or to live well. The busier we are, the more money we make, etc., and then we'll get to some point where in theory we'll retire and just enjoy life. There's an assumption that you know what's coming tomorrow. You and I don't know what's coming tomorrow. I don't think that's living well. I think wrinkles are great personally because they show your maturity and the fact you've lived a certain life and that you know some stuff, would be my view, even though we try and get rid of them. But the point is that death is inevitable for all of us. And the writer, Solomon to Ecclesiastes, knows that well true. When we're young, and maybe some of you here today don't want to hear that. Maybe you don't want to hear a 66-year-old man called Ian tell you that death is inevitable. As you get closer, you should realize that fact or you're kidding yourself. You may not want to know that there are trials coming. Life is complex. Marriage has its challenges. Raising kids is absolutely easy. Not. My eldest brother used to say, Ian, if only they could be born at the age of 18, then they could leave home straight away. And I said, Malcolm, there's probably a problem with that. But more than that, other writers often say, in this life, there are only 2 days. There's this day, and there's that day. And that day is that day of judgment. So when you wake up tomorrow, there's no point, you can't wake up tomorrow saying, oh, today's tomorrow. No. When you wake up tomorrow, guess what? It's today. You only get 2 days. And so the writer of Ecclesiastes wants us to think about how we live this life and live it well. So up front he says we've got to rejoice by taking advantage of the days of youth. Be joyful in how you live. So I know, the Bible's fairly a bit flexible when it comes to this. Well, give me an age category for a young person. Well, it's fairly flexible. 20, 30, 40. Why does he want to say that? Well, Solomon is someone who's looked at life from every angle, has tried so much, he's reflected, he's acted, married many women, amassed large sums of money. And as he comes to the conclusion of this letter, he wants others to know about life and how you live well. Enjoy life. Don't endure life. And for some of you, can I encourage you to tell your face about that? Tell your face that I'm actually enjoying life, I'm not enduring life. Because often when you meet a Christian, their face can tell you how much they're enjoying life or not. And don't forget, we as God's children, those who know Jesus, are a reflection of the invisible God. When they see us, they see Jesus or not. And so enjoy life. Hear these words. He says that Donna read, light is sweet from verse 7, and it pleases the eyes to see the sun. However many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all, but let them remember the days of darkness, for there will be many. Everything to come is meaningless, futile. Now, for Solomon in Ecclesiastes, this sense of meaningless vapor, it's like a breath. Here 1 minute and gone the next. It doesn't last. As much as there are lots of good things in this life, they don't last. And we could already say, look, is Solomon an optimist or a pessimist? I'm going to hold that answer for a little while at the moment. Which is it, Solomon? Well, I think as you start to read from verse 7 on, you get a sense that Solomon is direct, he's candid, he's honest, and he's open about all sorts of things. And I think for me, that's a helpful thing to hear. In this world, there was both great kindness and great pain at the same time. If we ignore the kindness, we sort of can live as a despairing type of people. Nothing's good and there's no point. But if we ignore the pain, then it is like we're flippantly happy. And it's just like, just skip along. Who cares? Someone died. Doesn't really matter. That doesn't work either. We can't ignore reality. As hard as we might try, we do live in a broken world. And yet, for all those here who like Louis Armstrong, I too would love to sing, I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what do I think to myself? What a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day. And it goes on, doesn't it? I see friends shaking hands. Like, you know the song. It is a wonderful world. We should not deny that. God has given us a wonderful place to live in. So Solomon wants us to know, how do we approach this life? Again, light is sweet. It's pleasant to the eyes to see. We don't know what's going to happen in this life, but as the Christian knows, we know God is in control. We know God is sovereign is the word we use. And so Solomon wants us to live well, but to put our life in perspective. When the sun is out, I want to see the light. Who doesn't like a beautiful sunrise? Go on, put your hand up so we know who likes getting... Oh, there you go. Who likes a lovely sunset instead? Anyone here? There you go. Now, some of the weird people here like getting up early and see the sun come up. That's a moment down in Wollongong when my wife and I got up on a New Year's morning just to see the sun come up. It just gives you all that expectation of the day ahead. But there's so much beauty around which we're called to enjoy, but there is darkness. That's why you can see light, sun, darkness, pain. Yes, I can get that. But there is beauty to be seen and enjoyment to have in this life. You know, what are the things you enjoy? Do you go home from church today and talk about the songs we sang or the people you met or the morning tea? Do you talk about the day? Isn't it great that God has provided rain? There are some places that need this rain. What is it in life that you enjoy, that you talk to each other about? Newborn babies are always cute, aren't they? Yes, they are. Especially your own children and grandchildren. We know that. Rainbows. Don't you love it when you're driving and all of a sudden you see a rainbow in the sky? It's like, oh, that's just so rich. It's so beautiful. Those things just help us. Does anyone here enjoy food? Good coffee. You know what a good coffee tastes like, because when you have a bad coffee, it's like, oh, that's bad. But it's how you deal with those gifts rightly. You know, and he goes on to say, however many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all, but let them remember the days of darkness, for there will be many. Everything to come is meaningless. Again, futile. It doesn't last. You can write down Psalm 91, verse 16, if you like. We read there, with long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Psalm 91, verse 16. God does want to bless us with long life. He does want to encourage us. But again, the exhortation is to young and old alike, enjoy this life that God has given you. If you live a long time, then rejoice in your years. Don't grow miserably. Savour your life with enthusiasm is what Solomon is saying. Life is a gift of God. And look, he knows our burdens. We know that. We should not be shocked at that. He knows our burdens. He knows the more years he gives us, the more there's going to be greater physical, emotional toil and burden. We know that. You know, I know that to come. You know, at 60 or 70 or 80, there'll be more things I look at, or dare I say, more loved ones that I see passing away. Just the reality of life, and see kids grow up. And Rhonda and our prayers increase for their safety and their well-being, and who they're going to marry and who they're going out with, and all those things. They start to increase because of our concern. If God has given you long life, then enjoy it even amidst the days of trial. So how are you going in rejoicing with your life? Because it is a mist. It does come and it does go. And yes, the longer you live, the more days you have for rejoicing. And we need to be mindful of that. And yes, as you age, you start to begin to see what really matters. And you start to realize there are so many things that don't really matter and are not worthwhile getting caught up in arguing about. Now, that might be just a gift of aging. I think it's true, because when you're younger, I think you feel everything matters. A lot of things do, but there are many things you can let go. And so he goes on, verse 9. You who are young, be happy while you are young. And let your heart give you the joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart and whatever your eyes see, but no. Now, you might not like to hear that, and you might think, Ian, you shouldn't say that. The last thing I want my 15-year-old to do is follow the ways of his eyes see. Good grief. He needs to go home, get his head down, start ready for school, have his bag packed and clean his bedroom. Can he make his bed, by the way? Don't tell him to go home and relax. Well, the Bible's saying this, but no. And you might think, this is where you might think Solomon's a pessimist, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. So it's like, enjoy all of life that you can every day with enthusiasm, not with a miserable heart or spirit. But know, for all these things, there is a day coming, and the Bible affirms this, that we'll all be held to account for the life we've lived. And yes, Solomon is probably old by the time he's giving this counsel, like me. And so we need to be mindful of that. It's like, let your heart be glad. Follow a heart and eyes that are submissive to God, making wise, youthful decisions. He's saying, let your heart shoot. It's okay to be happy. It's actually okay to be happy. It's okay to smile and to rejoice. It's okay to be young and in love, isn't it, Nikhil? His response is yes, with incredible enthusiasm. Because I've just put him on the spot, totally embarrassing him. Who's next should I embarrass? Yes, it's okay. It's okay to kiss your husband and wife in public, even in morning tea this morning, as long as it is your husband and wife. Don't kiss someone else. That'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it? And in fact, Christians should be the happiest of all people, shouldn't we? I think we should. Those who know Jesus should be the happiest of all people. We can relate to what Solomon is saying here. Why? Because there are things in this world we know. We know the beginning, we know the middle, we know the end. And so what does it mean? Look, often we read that the eyes are the window to the heart. Our eyes see lots of things. He's saying, be wise while you still can. Enjoy your days of youth. It's okay. Embrace all that life gives you. But to realize that living well is eventually going to be controlled by God's judgment. You will not escape that. No one. Whether you believe in Jesus, believe in God or not, we will all come to a day where we stand before the holy God and give account. The Bible affirms that again and again. And so we need to be mindful of that, because sometimes we just struggle in that area. And so Solomon wants to move on from that and say, look, to help you live well, there are things you need to remove. And he wants you to remove all anxiety so you can live well. You're not going to be able to live well if you continue to grow and be anxious and worried, no matter what is happening in this life right now. Just because you have a mortgage of $5 million and the interest rate's 55%, it's okay. Just take a breath, call your parents up and say, can I have your money now? Can I have the inheritance now? Because we can't afford the loan. Be reflective. Otherwise there's trouble coming. And that verse 9 reminds us that God is the creator God. He's the king. He's the judge. And we know that because even in Isaiah, for us a child is born, that to us a son is given. The government will be on his shoulders, and he'll be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. It's talking about Jesus. There in the beginning. Going to be there at the end. He's the judge. He's the one who's there. King of Kings and Lord of Lords, we often sing. And yes, again, judgment will come to everyone. It's not just judgment. The Bible actually, it's more referring to the judgment. The judgment will come. And so when we put all this together, it's like, look, I don't think God is a killjoy or some person up in the sky with a big magnifying glass sort of increasing pain on everyone he can see. I don't think God is like that. But it's perspective. Have fun, enjoy life, but be wise in how you do that. Be wise in how you live. You will find the greatest happiness in this life to live well by following God's design for you. Full stop. By knowing the one who made you, by knowing the one who's brought you into this life, by knowing the one who's given you purpose, by knowing Jesus. And so living well, finally, is seen in trusting God. for all things. And so he says, so then banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless. And again, they're a vapor. They vanish. Does anyone here wish they were 16 again? Back in high school? Back at uni? Doing a trade? You know, to live well, not that we shouldn't have any problems in this life. Not that you should escape from your problems, because we can't. He's saying that we're all judged by our Creator King, but understand we need to cast off things unto Him. Philippians 4, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Too often we can hold on to things. And yet the Christian, those who know Jesus, should be the person who can model what it means to cast off anxiety. Are there any English teachers here? I want to say we're not like Hamlet. For those of you who know Hamlet or studying Hamlet in high school, what does he say in his soliloquy about life? He views life as a struggle. It's miserable. We're not like him. We shouldn't be like him. An endless suffering, until the release of death. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly in this life. We know about wars. We know about pain. We know about ugly in families. We know about ugly even in church life. We know that. It's not as if somehow we can escape it. It's there everywhere. But we know the God who's behind it all, revealed in the person of Jesus. And so we put away those things that don't honour God. And so the call he wants us to understand is captured in chapter 12. It's about remember to lay a good foundation while you still can. While you still can be ready. There's no living well without God. There's no living well without God. So what does he say to help us? He says, verse 1 of chapter 12, remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark and the clouds return after the rain. Solomon in chapter 12, look, for those who like poetry, I hope there's some of you out there, there's some amazing words. Solomon is a master of language as he writes in chapter 12, and the way he expresses life and the pictures he paints, they're amazing pictures. And the word remember just doesn't mean to sort of recall some little bit of information. Remember your Creator means I live my life well knowing who He is, knowing where I'm going, knowing about what comes tomorrow, knowing that He is there. There's no half measure. I don't idolize being young. I don't make being young a god. If only I was X. What does it matter if we have all the happy meals under the sun but we lose our souls? And I know when you get kids or grandkids happy meals, man, their faces light up. Beautiful, it's fantastic. Parents, by the grace of God, and grandparents, we need to teach our kids about living well under the Lord. Toys themselves even age. So the question I want to ask you before I wrap it up, have you come to a place in your life where you know Jesus? And coming to church in no way is a reflection of knowing Jesus. Just because you're here, for all I know, you're here because Cam's a cool guy and you want to catch up with him. For all I know, you came here because you had nothing else to do on a Sunday, which is hard to believe with all the streaming services out there. Or you came here because they have such an awesome morning tea. Coming here doesn't somehow mean I know Jesus, so I come here. And as I said, maybe some of you have been dragged along by a friend, mother, father, mother. What are you doing this Sunday? I'm coming to church and you're coming with me. Oh, do I have to? Have you come to that point in your life where you actually said yes to Jesus? Are you serving and following him? Have you reached the limit of your own strength? There's a passage in Luke 12. Jesus told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I'll store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? We can busy ourselves doing stuff and amassing lots of things, and meanwhile ignoring God revealed in the person of Jesus. And yet the day comes when that's it. We're called to go home. We're called to give account. We're called for that day of judgment. Are we ready for that? Again, I say there is an accounting in this life. You know, the wise and foolish builders in Matthew 7 about building a house on what? On sand. The rains came down. We'll do that next Sunday for the kids, you know. It doesn't stand, though, if you build your house on sand. You need to build it on solid ground. You need to build it on secure grounds. And these times we're living in, the only person, it seems to me, who is secure is Jesus. He's the one we all need to know. He's the one we need to be connected with. No matter what your age is. Last year, I'm a grandparent. I ran the 5th National Grandparent Conference last year. And we had about 400 people watching online. 4 of those people were at a place called King Island. Does anyone know where King Island is? Way down south, near Tassie. Just before Christmas, a lady sent me a letter and this book about her daughter, Corey. And it was a lovely letter. Thank you, Ian, for the conference. I thought I'd send you a book we put together of my daughter's thoughts. Sadly, Corey, in the year 2000, died at the age of 16 from a horse riding accident. 16. But before she died, she was a young lady who wrote all these sorts of thoughts about life. Here's one of her thoughts about life. This is when she was 16 and a half. My classmate Priscilla died today, and it made me realise how short life is and that we should live each day to the full, serving Jesus in all that we do and sharing him to others, because we don't know how long our life will be. About 6 months after writing that, she died from a horse riding accident. I say that to you because I could give you any number of examples about the frailty of life and the simple fact we don't know what tomorrow brings. I really don't need Corey's mum to send me this because I know, but it's again a reminder, 16 and she's thinking these thoughts. So no matter your age, whether you're here at 16 or 14 or 18 or whatever it might be, there are things going on inside of you that you wrestle with. You may not express it, but you wrestle with it. Solomon wants us to know about how to live this life, to enjoy the gifts and to move ahead. He draws it to a conclusion when he says this: when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men's shot stoop, when the grinders cease because they are few and those looking through the windows grow dim, when the doors to the street are closed and the sound of grinding fades, when people rise up to the sound of birds but all their songs grow faint, when people are afraid. It's wonderful language, I think. That's just me. When the almond trees blossom and the grasshopper what a terrible picture. When the grasshopper drags itself along and desire no longer is stirred. That's starting with sexual desire. One preacher you quoted the other day I was listening to said women reach their sexual peak in about 30s, men reach their sexual peak in about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Just say that too. I laughed when he said it. Then people go to their eternal home and mourners go about their streets. It's a picture of life. It's a picture of aging. It's a picture of what happens to all of us, no matter how strong you are. And if you don't doubt me, just watch the Australian Open with the tennis players. How many of those in their 30s are limping off, worn out, tired? And I'm thinking they're 30 years younger than me, and yet they're worn out. You know, it's a picture, it's a somber scene. And the words bring home the reality of this life. You know, the keepers of the house are probably worn out. It's a picture of a house or even a person. The arms tremble, the strong man, their arms are bent now. You can't enjoy steak anymore. The grinders are your teeth. So only when you get old, you're having pureed food. That's to come. Sort of straw. Can't chew anymore like you once did. Apples are harder to bite. You look through the windows, your vision is not as good as it once was. Your hearing is going. Anyone here find that hard? Honey, I'm talking to you. Put your hearing aid in. I can't hear you. I know you can't hear me. Singing isn't as easy as it once was. You don't get to hear the birds where we live. We hear the birds every morning, but there will come a day you'll see them, but you won't hear them. Now, that's a picture he's painting. Heights are scarier in verse 5. And you see, the almond trees, your hair aging. And what a terrible picture to see, a grasshopper full of life and vigor, dragging itself along. That's when you know, wow, there's something wrong. No wonder he says this. Remember him in verse 6, before the silver cord is severed, and the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, and the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to the God who gave it. Yes, for those who know this part of God's word, Ecclesiastes, it should not surprise you that as he comes to the conclusion of the matter, meaningless, says the teacher, everything is meaningless, as in it's a vapor. Life is a breath. Be wise in your decisions. Make a decision about your internal life, your soul, your spiritual life. Understand there's more to this life than what you see physically. There's all sorts of things that we have to consider, and especially a relationship with God. And yes, our bodies are subject to the fallen world. I remember reading the former president of America, Ronald Reagan. I think he served for 2 terms, which would be 8 years. So on the 5th of November, 1994, he said this as he spoke about his wife, Nancy. When the time comes, I'm confident that with your help, she will face it with faith and courage. In closing, let me thank you, the American people, for giving me the great honour of allowing me to serve as your president. When the Lord calls me home, whenever that may be, I'll leave with the greatest love for this country of ours and eternal optimism for its future. I now begin the journey that will lead me into the sunset of my life. 5th November 1994. He knows what's coming. Don't be deluded in your life to think, well, that's just him, that won't happen to me. At some point, we all have to consider where we're going. Are we ready for that day? The breath of life has always been God's to give and God's to take away. And as an Anglican pastor, I've said those words that many times at funerals. The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. We praise his name. You see, when we know who God is, as revealed in his Son Jesus, we know the one who's going to judge us. We know that Jesus on the cross was beaten instead of us. We know on the cross Jesus took our sins. We know he's the great creator, the king and the judge. We know I couldn't pay the price for my rebellion, my separation from God, that only Christ could do. And that's why I've got to say to you, it's time to respond. Now is the time. Today is the day of salvation, 2 Corinthians tells us. Be certain about where you are going. Be aware of who God is. Have knowledge about his kindness. Live life to the full with an awareness of the whole journey of life. I think the best is yet to come. I can say that because why? Because there's eternal life. I long to see my loved ones again. I'm mindful that our bodies waste away, but my hope stays strong. Living this life is done well and wisely in relationship to who the one is behind it, Christ. By looking to Jesus, by knowing that he is the way, the truth, and the life, I know I can live well and better than I could ever imagine. Because I can live each day being mindful of the direction I'm going in. So to all of you here today, I'm going to put a prayer up. Cam had it up last week. It's a prayer that just helps you get connected with God. It's a prayer that helps you own your own journey, that helps you own your own faith. Dear God, thank you that you made me and love me. I'm sorry that I've turned from you and sinned against you. Please forgive me and save me. I accept Christ's death on my behalf. Thank you that true satisfaction and joy is found in him. Now, at the start of this message, I ask you to take out your newsletter. Take it out again. If you'd be kind enough as you look at me, could you take it out again? Down the bottom, there's a couple here for the first time, looking to the church to join. I'm interested in giving my life to Jesus today, and other boxes. I'm going to pray that prayer. I'm going to say it out loud. If you'd like to join in saying that prayer, do it quietly where you are. You can move your mouth or you don't have to move your mouth. But whatever you do, do not worry about what the person next to you or behind you is doing. This is the moment for you, as often we say, for you to do business with God. Have you come to that point in your life where you've said yes to Jesus? I encourage you, I implore you, I ask you, don't just assume that you live your life and tomorrow I'll do with it. I'll do it when I'm 40. I'll do it when I'm 50. I'll do it when I'm on my deathbed. You don't know any of that stuff. You know that you have this moment on this day right now. So if you've not yet made that commitment, I encourage you to do so as I pray this prayer. Could you all bow our heads as I pray it out loud? Dear God, thank you that you made me and love me. I'm sorry that I've turned from you and sinned against you. Please forgive me and save me. I accept Christ's death on my behalf. Thank you that true satisfaction and joy is found in him. Amen. If you've prayed that prayer, I'd love to talk to you. Those watching at home, if you've prayed that prayer, I'd love to see your smiling face next week, because we know here that there's a greater joy in gathering together. And if you have prayed that prayer, welcome to God's family. Next Sunday, in fact, we're going to celebrate communion. I'd love you to come along and join with us. But right now, Can's going to come and wrap it up.